I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here I share legal and entertainment news from a psychological perspective. You all asked for me to cover this. I have received so many questions about this interview. So, Colby Ryan has a YouTube channel, and I have a link to the full interview down below. And I will tell you, I will warn you, at the very end, he is extremely emotional because his mother continues to deny her role in his sibling's death. And she's focused on herself. She continues to have these religious delusions, or like she just refuses to accept facts. And she has the nerve to blame Tylee when we know Tylee was killed first before JJ. And so none of it makes any sense. And it is incredibly difficult to listen to. So I will tell you, I also shared um, a summary. So Idaho News did a summary of the full podcast. And so if you can't make it through the whole interview, Idaho News did it's like a 10-minute summary, really breaking everything down. Let me know if you all have questions for me. The end of it is very emotional, and even parts of it during it, because Colby went into this interview with the idea of kind of an observe, like he's just gonna talk to her, and he had prepared questions, and he wasn't going to push back too much on what she was saying. And truly, my heart really breaks for him, really. I want to remind us, Lori Vallow has a diagnosis of delusional disorder. She has this mixed hyper religiosity and grandiosity, but I wonder how the psychologist negotiated the delusional religiosity. I'm sorry, the delusional grandiosity versus the narcissistic personality features, because she was also excuse me, she was also diagnosed with histrionic and narcissistic personality features as well. And I did not assess her. But this was the diagnosis from the forensic psychologist. Try to put some question marks if you all have questions for me about this interview. Please let me know. I'm not gonna play the. I'm really only gonna play one clip, the clip that kind of stood out the most to me, because ugh, this was hard. This was very hard. Um, I definitely understand Colby's desire to understand and comprehend. She will never give him the answers to the questions he has. And I think he just wants to understand why. And I believe the judge. So I also have a link because I covered her sentencing, and my lighting isn't great, and so like this was a while ago. I've made upgrades and things, but for that video covering the sentencing, it was just so the judge had her, like, had read her to a T, because he was like, number one, you continue to not show remorse. Number two, you did this for your own financial gain. You knew they were deceased and you were continuing to collect government aid. And like, it is really a mess. Very sad to see. And I thank you all for joining me as we kind of talk about this. I also have a link to an article, because sometimes reviewing the videos can be really triggering. And so sometimes reading news isn't quite as triggering as hearing it. And so this is from the Independent, but they did a good job, I think, summarizing the interview. And this was one of the first interviews she's done since she was sentenced in 2023. The audio on the interview, and he warns you at the beginning that it's gonna cut out at times because it was a jail call, and he has his phone up to the mic, and there are times that that there's poor reception. All right, and his podcast is called The Scar Wars. Oh my gosh. And it is a very troubling, very troubling interview. But I have a clip here from that summary by, so this is a summary from East Idaho News. I'm going to make myself smaller so we can make this a little bigger. There we go. So I'm just going to play a short clip from this, all the trigger warnings, because Lori is going to blame Tylee, and I do not believe a word of it. And Colby at the end also says that he doesn't believe, what she's saying or the story that she's trying to stick to.
I knew Tylee had been upset, and I knew that she was upset with me that weekend because she wouldn't stay at the house because Melanie Gibb would stay there. She hates Melanie Gibb, as you know. Everyone knows this. She hated her. And she couldn't stand her smell because she had the essential oils, and Tylee got sick off the essential oils in sixth grade because her teacher made her drink the essential oils in sixth grade to help with pancreatitis, if you remember all that. So she didn't want to stay there. So I asked her to babysit JJ, put him to bed that night, which is what she always has done, right? She was going to sit in bed. I was going to do my podcast with stupid Melanie and Dave, right? So JJ wouldn't interrupt it. And then I was picking him up in the morning to get him ready and take him to school. And when I came in on that scene, and they were gone, I thought Tylee did it to get back at me. I thought it was all my fault. I thought she was mad at me.
Daybell told Ryan that one.
So I sometimes use snark here. This is not a moment that I think is appropriate for my own personal. If this had been an interview, Lori, with just the news, this is her son. Colby loved Tylee. He loved JJ. And for her to sit there and lie. So this isn't part of the delusional disorder, in my personal opinion. I think this is a part of her not taking responsibility. I think she desperately does not want this to be her fault. Later in the interview, she is going to say something to the effect of like that she's going to say some more really odd random things, that this is Lucifer trying to get back at her. She's so amazing, she's so great, that this is an attack on her, and it's not. These are the consequences of her actions, and I don't think she's ever going to take responsibility for it. And I do hope that he moves forward with his healing. I And he also set a boundary with her at the end that she can't have a relationship with his children. So if he continues to maybe talk to her every so often, she's his mom, and he's in a very difficult place, and that'll be his choice, but he is going to protect his children. And I am very glad that he is protecting them. And that's what a narcissist sometimes do. Sometimes the thing they claim somebody else did, but I think Lori likely had the uncle I believe Lori likely had the uncle do something. I don't think Lori ever did anything with her own hands. She she used her attractiveness and her getting people to feel sorry for her. She used all of that to get other people to do the things that she wanted them to do. And so I don't think she got her hands dirty at all. I don't think she did. I think she knows what happened, but, because Colby specifically asked her in the interview, "What about," because they know that, okay, trigger warning about how JJ died. Okay, trigger warning. They know that a bag was placed over his head and that JJ fought back. And Lori was like, "Oh, no, that's not how it happened." And I don't believe a single word of it at all. And he truly did a phenomenal job. He was so, so, so patient. Um, and the interview, so the person that covered it from the East Idaho News, that was Nate Eaton. I really, really enjoy his coverage. Um, got something. Lori has to find a way to justify it. Exactly. Her ego, like Sarah Boone. I like, so is that her maiden name? Ah, nice. So like Sarah Boone will not allow her to take responsibility for what happened. I agree. They both have extremely protective egos. They use it differently. So that's where Lori, I think, has some natural pretty privilege, and I think she tried to think that she could fool the jury, like, nobody would ever believe that, like, she could possibly, and she did. I fully believe she did all the things. She did all of it, in my personal opinion. Um, so I have a whole Lori Vallow playlist. So if you would like to check out this case, it is an extremely troubling case. This is Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, and it is a horrific case. I also loved the judge in those cases. Like he's in my top 5 judges. Judge K, Judge Kranick is in the top spot. And I agree, Lori will never accept responsibility for it. She just won't. You really could see the anger and disgust on his face as she was saying those things because they were clearly lies. Like it was, and that's not a delusional lie. So her thinking that God has her here on earth to help the women in jail and that's why she can't self-delete, like that's more of her delusion, I think. But her thinking that her trying to say that that JJ died first when we know people saw JJ and did not see Tylee. Like there were people in the house after the ninth that saw JJ but didn't see Tylee. So like this is a lie. It's just a lie. Just is. I do hope that he has some good supports and that he's in therapy. I also think him talking about this, I think a part of that can be therapeutic if it's done in a way that's not re-triggering and re-traumatizing. I think it can be helpful. But I think it proved that she is not a safe person. She's exactly where she needs to be, and she is not a safe person, in my personal opinion. Um, yes, Lori does have, but that's part of the delusional disorder. So her actual religious, but her saying that Tylee was mad, she thought Tylee unalived JJ because Tylee was mad at her. No, Tylee would never hurt JJ. Tylee loved JJ, and the fact that she said that, it just sent me. It was ridiculous. Um, all right, and so that's where. All right, so I wanted. So I I do just want to play one other clip. If you're watching this on replay and the clips are gone, it's because uh, they did not want me to share that part. And so if you watch later and the clips are gone, please check out the links down in the in the description. Sometimes that happens. So this is going to be part where Colby is going to be showing emotion. I want to show this part right here.
When you have a visit from Jesus, a personal visit,
Right.
then because there is opposition in all things, you will have a personal visit from Lucifer.
Okay.
So weeks after I had this visit with Jesus in the temple, I was in JJ's room at the big house where you got married.
Okay.
And Lucifer was standing right in front of me.
Okay.
And he said to me, I know who you are. I know exactly who you are, and I will stop you. Okay? So, Jesus gave me a job.
Okay.
Lucifer has done every single thing to get me to take my own life, because that is his goal. If I leave here, I cannot do my job for Jesus. Right? The only thing I have to do for Jesus is stay here. Right? He needs me here to help people.
Right.
Now, there's eight women in my pod right now facing the death penalty.
Uh-huh.
Okay? 8 women in this little jail. I help them every day.
And the fact that she is not picking up that he is upset. Okay? So she can likely hear that that this is upsetting him. I think she only cares about her feelings, her emotions, what's going on with her, and she desperately wants to portray a particular narrative. Hey, mama. That's my real life mama. And so this was very, very painful. I just want to get okay. And so she just talks about wanting to like that she's here to help those people with their cases, with their workouts. Okay, Lori. I wanted to play this part as well.
I forgive you. And I'm not going to hold you in a jail cell of my heart, but you cannot be a part of my children's lives. And I think you need to understand why. Because you and I can't even be a part of each other's lives. Because I don't feel like I know you anymore. And I don't want to hurt you by telling you that, but I don't want to lead you on.
Daybell did tell Ryan that.
Okay. And so once again, the full link to his coverage is down in the in the description. And I've done videos talking about forgiveness. And to me, what he says, when he says, I've forgiven you, to me, that's I'm not holding hatred in my heart towards you. I'm not I think he's still very disgusted with what she did. And but that he's gonna move forward and not carry that specific part. That he's going to continue to move forward. It could be a religious thing for him as well. Everybody kind of approaches it differently, but that was very, very hard. And so I personally think that he needed to attempt closure. Okay, and so so he decided to put it out there publicly. And I think it also shows the world, because there might be some people that still believe Lori Vallow's foolishness, because they almost had a little cult. There are people that believed some of the stuff they were all saying. And so there are people that believe that Chad is innocent. And so I think he wanted to put it out there, and I think it was his decision to do so. And I can't speak to whether it was helpful or not. At the end, it almost seemed like there was this catharsis, like he let out a lot of emotion, and it to me, it might prove to him that he really can't have a relationship with his mother. He just can't. And so, I agree. I think he just wanted to give her to see what she would say. And the fact that she reworked the truth, like what we know to be true. Tylee died first. Like, the fact that she did that is just so, so, so troubling. Um, so Collier Landry is another guy. His father unalived his mother, and I believe he had to testify in the trial. I follow because he covers a lot of true crime, and he's talked about his experience. Um, I wonder if they've connected off the app, because sometimes having authentic connections can be really helpful. But my heart just truly breaks for them. I agree with this one. Colby needed to attempt closure for his own peace of mind, but closure isn't always what we think. I agree. Sometimes the lack of closure is the closure, because there could have always been this what if. What if I gave her, like, but now he knows she's never going to change. Never ever going to change. She is entrenched in her reality, what's best for her, and she's never going to accept responsibility for this. And so I truly wish him all the best. I do hope that this was helpful for him. He didn't put it out immediately. So I think he did the interview, he edited it, he was able to sit with it before putting it out. I'm glad it wasn't live, because if it had been live, I think that would have been a lot harder. But he was able to control, like, when I say control it, I mean, because I think he even said when he recorded it, he wasn't sure if he was ever going to release it. Do you think Lori realized how much? So I think Lori's incapable of realizing the impact of her actions. It's that ego thing for a narcissist. I don't think she will ever accept responsibility. I don't think she will. Like, she blames God. Like, she's like, I'm on God's side. And in the interview with him, she literally says, when you get to heaven, you'll understand. And I'm not going to say I told you so. What? Like, mm, she's problematic is the kind way to say it. I don't know. It is difficult, and that is his mom. And that's that there were probably times that she was a good mom to him, that she was maybe caring. There were times that things were okay. And then there's this other side of her that he's having to negotiate in real time. And healing from that type of trauma, from that type of experience, because our relationships with our parents that's how we kind of determine the world, that sets our attachment. And I'm glad that it seems like he has people in his life that are helpful. um okay. Huh? Okay. I must have missed something. We often think the other person needs to give us the closure, but the individual makes the closure for themselves. I agree. Great question. Can delusions cause hallucinations? So those are two different. Um, it would depend. So when Lori says God said, I personally feel that Lori, her own voice, she may think is God's voice. So what she calls God's voice sounds a lot like what Lori wants to do. And so I don't know that it's like an active hallucination or anything like that. She has not been diagnosed with schizophrenia. With schizophrenia, there's often some bizarre there. It's different. There are some other behaviors. There's some other things. She's only been diagnosed with delusional disorder and the personality one. Because if you met her, she might come off kind of normal until you started getting into, when I say normal, I mean until she starts talking about all of that off the wall stuff, you wouldn't really realize that she had a major issue. I'm also glad that the jury still held her accountable for all of that. Um, And also the other part of this is I think she warps reality to fit her narrative. Kind of like Sarah Boone, but not as bad. Like Lori's way worse, in my personal opinion. Lori will rework things, will rework reality to fit her narrative. And it can be hard to figure out if part of that is because of what's going on. Um, No worries. So you said that's not oh. So there are some things that I don't say publicly just because like she is a real person, and that's when it gets I think the judge did a great job describing her manipulation, her lack of remorse, her focus solely and purely on herself. He called her selfish. He called her he did a phenomenal job. He did a phenomenal job. This makes me wonder how some of these signs were missed. She is outside of the typical parameters for these diagnoses. Or is she? She is, or is she? So she was a part of a closed community that didn't really push back on her like zombies, light, dark, because her and Chad took their beliefs beyond what anybody else in the faith really believed. I did listen to the Melanie Gibbs. Is that her name? Wait a minute. The Melanie that's written all the books. I think she was excommunicated from the church. That Melanie, I did listen to her interview. So people can have eccentric religious beliefs and not necessarily be delusional, but for Lori, mm, and I don't know what she said to the evaluator. All right. Oh, yeah. And, because the husband that she's currently on trial, or it's gonna be starting soon, the one in Arizona. Y'all remind me of his name. Is that Colby's? I think that might be Colby's dad. Um, Lori Vallow's, 'cause I think that was her second husband. Second husband. Y'all are probably telling me in the chat. Let me scroll down. Colby's dad. I thought so. Charles Vallow. Yes, Charles Vallow. So Charles tried to say, I'm concerned for my safety. I'm concerned for the kids. And that is the trial. I think both her, yes, because she was charged. I don't think they ever charged Chad with that one. Charles Vallow was the one. Yeah. But not Colby's dad. Thank you. Joe Ryan was Colby's dad, probably. Yes, yes, yes. That would make sense. Yes. She had no biological children because I believe they adopted JJ together because JJ was her adopted child. And JJ's grandparents, if if he was too difficult for her to manage, if there was too much, she could have transferred custody to JJ's grandparents, but she wanted the money, which once again goes back to that manipulation, control, selfishness in my own personal mind. Oh, Charles was her fourth husband. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, was it Joe? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Joe Ryan adopted Colby. Yes. Okay. I don't know. So y'all follow these things better than me. y'all follow these things. Yes. JJ was Charles' biological nephew. Yes. Yes, his adopted son. And the thing with an individual, the thing about a narcissist love, and I've said this before, is that they often view the people in their lives as objects and not as people. They are a means to an end. Things are often transactional. It's often what they can get, what they're getting back from the relationship. That's normally the focus for individuals that are kind of further on that end towards like that the personality disorders. And there were so many other things she could have done if she just wanted to be happy with Chad, but she wanted the money. Chad was broke. His Tammy was the one that made the money. Like they weren't going to be able to be together without the money. And but they should have like got jobs. Like they should have done something to make money honestly, but it's a whole thing. It really, really, really just breaks my heart. And I enjoy sharing these tips, these things, because and I have a whole other video on religious trauma and adoption, because with religious trauma, to me, my faith should not hurt other people or myself. Faith should heal, faith should be a positive thing. And in my opinion, Lori used her faith as a weapon and she literally harmed people. Like she emmed people in the name of faith. And when it was really just her own selfish whims and desires, in my opinion, if I have to say it that way. All right. And so on Friday, 10:15 a.m., we are going to be covering the updates from Sarah Boone's case. There are things continually being updated on the docket. Most recently, the state has ordered a transcript of Sarah Boone's testimony, which is likely going to be entered into evidence because they're going to want to get in there that she said she was drunk. Like they are going the next day, she's recovered, she's still under the influence, or she's still hungover from drinking the night before. And so the state is getting that entered into evidence. We're going to talk about all those things and why she or why I think maybe she rejected the plea. All of that will be on Friday, 10:15 a.m. Eastern. If you are in Florida, if you are in the path of the hurricane, I truly hope everybody is safe and that people are adhering to the precautions and all of those things. Whew, these cases can be hard to cover. This is one, Giselle. Let me look that one up real quick to see if I've. Okay. That is a tough one. In any case I cover, I try to see if there's a psychological aspect that we can discuss. So that's because I am a psychologist and not a lawyer. I normally try to see, is there something we can learn? I want to see if there's something we can get from it. That case is incredibly troubling when you look at the details. Trigger warnings for essay. And yes. All right. And so thank you all so much for joining. I will see you all on Friday. Have a good one. Bye.